Hey everybody, Dr. Mike Wasserstrom here, Premier Life Podcast. Welcome and happy to be with you guys. Today, I'm going to do a little bit of a throwback podcast. This is not necessarily a recycled podcast per se, but this happened to me this week. So as I was going back through my previous podcasts, I was like, you know what, I'm going to bring this up again because this is something we need to talk about because it happens often. And when it happens often, I've learned to take note of those things and to address them, especially when we're dealing with a podcast that most of our practice members listens to. This is kind of a mindset shift. And for those of you who are listening to this and have spouses that, whether they're female, male, spouses that are hearing this, or you're listening to this, you're like, my spouse doesn't get why I come to the office. Maybe they didn't come with you on your first day. Maybe they didn't come with you on your care plan recommendations when we went through your plan. So if you are a practice member that has a spouse that is not a practice member, I feel you. I feel you in the fact that most of the time, whether it happens or not, and most people will tell me things like, you know, my spouse is really loving, really supporting. And it's not that I don't believe that at all. But eventually, at some point in time when the rubber hits the road and finances get tight, your spouse is going to be the one that tells you this is the first thing that you should quit because it's a luxury and it's not a necessity. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the difference between luxury and necessity. So recently, when I was going back through my old letters and my old workshops and my old podcasts, I saw that I wrote this in 2024. Well, I had a very similar situation happen to me this week. I had a practice member tell me that, and he or she, I'm not going to even give you the gender, but he or she are in chronic pain. And they're very slow to heal, and they got off a plan a couple of months back because they, quote unquote, couldn't afford it. So I don't ask questions, and I don't try to barrage people into doing things that they don't want to do, right? Everybody has their value, if you will. But the second he or she got off this plan, a lot of the old patterns that they developed for years and years and years started to come back because they weren't being adjusted consistently. And they got back into the situation where they were in chronic pain. A lot of the things that originally they came to the office for that were cleared because we changed the habits and the patterns of the nerve system ultimately came back because they weren't caring for their spine in a very specific way to retrain neurology. They were waiting for symptoms to show up and then coming in, or they were coming in when they felt like they, quote unquote, needed it. I'll come in when I need it. So they moved to more of a drop-in type of plan, which we don't have, but yet that's what they wanted to do because they got to the point where they felt that they couldn't afford this, and her husband or his wife, whatever it may be, the spouse, if you will, are not under care. So that no recollection of what it is that we do here. So obviously finances got tight for them. They wanted to get off the plan. They got off the plan. All old patterns started to come back. And now as they sit in our office, this happened to me this week. The practice member said to me, I said, how come you're not on a plan anymore? You know, you're struggling to heal. You should be here more to get your body to reconnect so the brain body can start to heal again. And he or she said to me, yeah, we can't afford it right now. And I said, okay. And I said, so why are you here today? And they said, well, we're going on vacation tomorrow to an island. So initially my thought was, here we got to bring back the luxury versus necessity mindset, because clearly if you're going to an island, whether it be Jamaica, whether it be the Bahamas, whether it be Hawaii, whether it be Aruba, you could afford whatever you want to afford. And the fact of the matter is that you're just not putting value to what it is that we're doing. Because most of the time, again, and I get this and I understand this, when you are asymptomatic and you're coming in for adjustment week after week after week, and you don't feel necessarily any worse, don't feel any better, you think nothing's really happening, it's like, all right, well, maybe I don't need this as much anymore. And that's where you get into trouble. Because remember, all the years, whatever it is that you came into the office originally for, whatever symptom that brought you there, originally brought you in for, you didn't know you had that problem before you ever had the symptom in the first place. I'm going to say that again. Whatever symptom that brought you into the office, prior to you having a symptom, you didn't even know you had a problem. But your system was storing these habits over and over and over again until your threshold to adapt eventually got so thin and so small to where your body couldn't take it anymore and out came the symptom. That's how this works. That's how your nervous system processes information, deals and adapts to all forms of stress. Stress will never go away. You can lower stress, but you can never get rid of stress. Even going to Jamaica or Aruba or Hawaii or the Bahamas is stressful because you're packing, you're in a different plane, you're different bed, different food, right? I mean, all those things. That's why when people come back from vacations, they feel like they need a vacation from their vacation because that stress is still upon you, even though it's classified as good stress. Body doesn't know the difference between good and bad stress. It's stress is stress, and it affects you the same way. So the fact of the matter is that there's the definition of luxury versus necessity is a luxury is something that you're going to do to pamper yourself with. A necessity is something that you're going to do because you know that your life and health depends on it. And here's the thing. Facts upon facts. Ready? Number one, we're all born with this innate intelligence that's designed to function, heal, regulate, and adapt. Number two, this intelligence was placed in our central nervous system and allows the direct communication between the brain and nervous system to function so that our brain can process all this information. We process all of our human existence, every aspect of our human experience in our lives through the central nervous system. Stress is constant. It never goes away until you die. And your central nervous system processes these stressors, takes in these experiences, and adapts to your environment. Now, when we reach an adaptive capacity or a limitation, if you will, our bodies eventually give us feedback mechanisms to let us know things aren't working or our system is overwhelmed and our system can no longer adapt to its environment. That's what's known as a symptom. When we retrain impulses to communicate from our brain to our peripheral nervous system, and these signals improve, we improve the adaptation potential to your environment. And that's really the goal here. The goal of care here is to expand and improve your potential to adapt to the environment so that your body can actually process all human existence and all life stressors, and that your body can heal and adapt at the potential that it was designed to adapt. We heal through the central nervous system. It's the only system that we actually heal through. That's why when God made our body, he encased it in hard bone. Everything else is surrounded by soft tissue, muscle, and fat. So there's delicate reasons of why we have that central system processes information, adapts to information protected in bone itself. So constant lifelong care of the spine and nerve system allows for full expression and adaptation of your potential. So my question to you is, do you view what I just said as a luxury, or do you view it as a necessity? If your goal in life is to do the things that you want to do without limitation, without limiting your life's experiences, then that should be of high value to you. And that should not fall into the category of luxury. That should fall into the category of necessity. If your goal is to play with your grandkids, be around as long as you possibly can, look, we all know that we're not guaranteed immunity when it comes to, forever on this earth. But the fact of the matter is that you might as well make it as enjoyable and allow you to experience the experiences that you should experience while you're here on this earth. So given that fact, where's the value there? Do you value your health on that level as a luxury or a necessity? The problem is that when spouses do not show up and attend the care plan recommendation or show up for the visits in our office that we ask them to, they don't understand that concept because it's not taught in society. It's not even taught in most chiropractic realms. This practice, if you've never been here, is very unique to the fact that this is what our sole premise is. We are designed to expand the potential, your God-given potential that's been placed inside of you. And that is the goal. It is not to treat conditions or symptoms, because conditions and symptoms are not your problem. They are effects of your problem. So given the understanding of how the nervous system works and how what you're doing here consistently is retraining and expansion of the potential to adapt to stress, which is probably the most important thing that you can do for your health, right? You can't supplement your way to help you adapt to stress. You can improve it on some degree, but you can't change it. The only thing that changes it is the brain's integrity of how the nervous system stays in balance and how your system processes and adapts and responds to the stress that you're applying to it. That's where the work comes in. So I could totally sympathize and understand why the spouse of this practice member said, yeah, we're cutting this out. But it's not because they can't afford it. It's because there's no value. And there's no value because there's been no education of that value. And when there's no education of that value, there's no way that you're gonna be able to sustain this for long periods of time. Some of the people on our miracle board are people who've been here for probably minimum over 5 years, and some of these people have been with this practice for 27, 28 years, and that's how you get results. It's like anything else in life. If you do a diet for 2 months, it's not going to work. You'll go back to your old ways of eating. If you exercise for 2 months, it'll go back to your old ways of not exercising. The people who do this from a longevity standpoint are the people that get the best results. And those results come in chiropractic in our office in the expansion of your potential to adapt. So that's what I have you for today. So the view of luxury versus necessity, if you have a spouse that is not a practice member, did not show up, doesn't support you in this journey, highly recommend that you play this podcast for them so they can understand a little bit about what it is that you're getting here and what it is you're doing here. It may help. So appreciate it. We are always happy to help, and looking forward to seeing you guys on the next podcast. This is Dr. Mike signing off. Talk soon.